Okay, we are recording. All right. Okay, so I've already done your intro and we're gonna get ready to go here. So, all right. How's my do these shoes make me look fat?
Yeah, you look good.
Okay,
Like a bass player.
So anyway, all right. Okay, here we go. 3, 2. Well, I'm here with Dennis Hulbert, very good friend of mine, as we said in the intro. But Dennis, how are you doing today?
I'm just great and excited to reconnect with you, Leonard, after all these years.
It's been a while. It's been a
Yes,
while.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm just so glad we were able to reconnect. So, Dennis, let's just dive right into the deep end of the pool here. So let me ask you this, Dennis, when did you pick up the bass guitar?
I picked up the bass guitar and the regular guitar at the same time when I was a junior in high school. I lived way out in the mountains with only 25 kids in my class, and so and 6 in my junior class. And luckily, I had one of my teachers had been the bass player with Sly and the Family Stone. Another one was a jazz pianist from Capitol Records, and there was the 8th grade teacher was a drummer from the Texas Playboys, and so they started teaching us all music. And I stepped right into it. I didn't have a clue, and they said here, and they taught me how to play bass, and the guitar player taught me how to play the blues scale. He said, "Here's your foundation." And so it was in high school.
Okay. So how old were you?
I was 17.
Okay, 17. All right. Okay.
16,
Yeah,
16, I guess.
just a few years older than when I started, but
Yeah.
that's good. So who was your inspiration? Who did you inspire? I mean, who inspired you to
Yeah. I, you know, I was like any kid growing up in the late 60s, early 70s, and the usual suspects. I just liked music. When I was a little boy, my parents had me take accordion lessons, and then it wasn't cool. But I'll tell you something, Leonard, it's cool now, and I'm out of the closet. I am an accordion player, but yeah. So then I started. They taught me how to play music, and I just liked everybody. But I lean more towards the blues oriented bands, the Allman Brothers and all, and Leonard Skinner and all that blues rock stuff. And I also am very passionate of country western music. In fact, my first album was a country western album. Actually had John McPhee from the Doobie Brothers, Billy Kirchen from Commander Cody, and several other guys that I made an album back in '73, and I was a country western singer more than a player, to believe it or not, and so that's kind of where my roots really lied, because my mom and dad grew up listening to country music. Johnny Cash, Dean Martin, and all that stuff was on the stereo continually.
Well, give us a brief history of once you felt proficient enough to play. I tell the story. I picked up the bass, and 2 weeks later, I was at the Kiwanis Club or the Rotary Club playing in a band, which is like, So I would say I wouldn't say I was playing bass. I was holding it up, and give us a little brief history. Kind of how you got started. I mean, how you got started in a band, and what this album was. That's fascinating. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting. I was the same as you, Leonard. I was like, I didn't know how to play, and 2 weeks later, I'm playing in a band at a high school event with these teachers, and I remember writing the chords out on big paper and laying on the ground and playing a band to the weight or something, and I was so nervous, my foot was just shaking. I hadn't had a clue, but from that point, then I realized, hey, this is what I want to do. But and so right off the bat, it was kind of interesting. I never have been a great player, but if you own the sound system, you can play with great players. And so I always had a job because I always fought forest fire. And in the early '70s, I owned the sound system, and I had some great, young players. I mean, that went on to be somewhat playing with a lot of different famous people back in the early '70s up in Arcata. And we practiced. We rented a place called Portuguese Hall, and we practiced during the day. And we rented the place out tonight to Captain Beefheart's Magic Band guys. And so Artie Tripp, Mark Boston, all those famous players from the Magic Band were our mentors. And I took lessons from Rocket Morton, the famous bass player that played on all those original Captain Beefheart stuff. And so it was that's what I did, And so just as a kid, I was going to go be a band player, but I've been blessed the fact that I've always surrounded myself with guys that are way better than me. But so and it was just fun, And I've been kind of a lazy player. I mean, I went and studied music for a while and took classical guitar, but once I learned the pentatonic scale and we play blues songs or country western tunes, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the early days, and then I was playing for myself. I was playing in bars and things, and I was coming back after playing one night in an Indian reservation up in Hoopaw. And I always remember that night because we went out to play, and we thought they'd like country western. And I went into the bathroom, and a guy pulled out a big knife and held it against my throat and says, "We ain't cowboys, we're Indians." So I said, okay. So we went out, we started playing. Hoopa, hoopa, they took a whole Cherokee nation, put them on the reservation. And so they all cheered. It was like Blues Brothers, and threw bottles at us and everything for the rest of the night. But coming home that night, I got my car stolen and all my stuff got taken away.
Oh, wow.
So I was working and newly married and stuff. And so I didn't play for probably about 10 years, had acoustic guitar around the house, but didn't really play. And I really wasn't, my Christian values, I really wasn't walking with the Lord that much. I was professed to be a Christian, but I wasn't actively doing anything. And I'd moved back up to Northern California, and I went to church, and I realized that, wow, they're playing kind of cool music here. I thought everything was from the old hymnal. And there was a band playing, and I walked up to these guys, and I said, "Man, that's really neat." And this guy said, "Do you play?" And I said, "Well, I used to." And it handed me a 62 Stratocaster guitar and said, "The Lord wants me to give this to you." And he gave it to me. And so then, I started playing Christian music. I better, huh? There's a sign. And so from then I played Christian music, and it's evolved to a 30-year Christian ministry that I could go on and on about how God's blessed it. It's playing music for the Lord.
Do you still have that guitar?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm really feeling that the Lord is telling
me to. Actually, it's up and ready now. A friend of mine's Christian band up there is using it for a recording project. But
my gosh,
I can guess where you're going with this.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I have been, and we're both a very, very, very strong faith, and I've played in a lot of Christian bands, and I have never. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I better think of this because this is a podcast that's just going out will be seen by a lot of people. I want to make sure. I don't think I've ever been given an instrument. I know I've given one away. I've given one away. I felt led to. There was a young man and his wife were in youth ministry, and he was a bass player, but he hadn't played in a long time. And I had I've had several Rickenbacker basses, and I just felt led one day to give one of my Rickenbackers away to this young man. And so, yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, you just brought up something that I hadn't really thought about in a long
Yeah,
time.
you know,
I want my Rickenbacker back. No.
but I'm at a point now in my life, and because of that experience, Makira normally always gives a guitar away wherever we play. I mean, I don't give expensive ones. I'll go down and buy some Fender knockoffs, but and I can tell you dozens of stories of testimonies of raffling those guitars away for free, and then finding a person in the street ministries or whatever that came up and says, "Man, I learned to play it, and I'm playing in my church," or the story behind that little gesture. And so it's kind of a signature for me, because that brought me back into my faith, and has blessed me so much. I mean, God took it away from me when I wasn't using it for His glory, and then gave it back to me tenfold, where I can give a guitar away whenever I play. So that's an exciting testimony in my life that I just wow.
That's what we're designed to do.
Yeah.
We're designed to give it away. And I have been I mean, I haven't been given instruments, but I'm telling you what, my blessings have been, yeah. So you're talking about the style of music. What style of music do you gravitate towards? Okay.
Again, blues rock stuff. Again, I grew up listening to Jay Giles band and all that kind of stuff. So I like to keep it simple. I mean, Makira, which is the band that I'm playing now and have for 30 years, and there's been over 30 people that say they have been a member of this group. I'm the only original. Everybody brings to the group their thing, and then I really appreciate the melting pot. So I'm not any particular category, but what I enjoy the most is just bluesy rock stuff that keep it simple. And I just I really enjoy playing the bass to I'm kind of a bottom feeder and just kind of walk in there and play songs, because it's interesting as musicians how a guitar player writes a certain style. That my guitar player Stephen Randall, he's a bluesy rock guy, and he writes that style. Well, I have a keyboard player that's a phenomenal musician. He grew up in in touring bands, signed to London Records, has a gold record with his band back then, and knows all the players from that period of time, and then spent 20 years making jingles, making good money on jingles. So, but a piano player writes so different, and so his songs I find really challenging. I have to go figure them out, and they don't come natural. He has to chart it out, I have to read it and memorize it. But the guitar player stuff is like, yeah, that's a groove, I'm there. But I like it all. I mean, I'm not. It's just I just enjoy music in general.
Well, you know what? Let's you had mentioned one of your bandmates, Steve Randall. I've had some experience with Steve years ago when I was in a band called the Elevators.
Yeah.
And Steve traveled around with us, various things, and he was doing some solo stuff at the time, but just a phenomenal guitar player and just a great brother. And yeah, when I noticed when I noticed, and this has been a few years ago, that Steve was playing with you, I just thought, man, what a treasure you have with Steve, because he's a very, I think the very first time I ever saw Steve was with a band called the Vespers.
Yeah, no, that's the first time I saw him.
Yeah, it was very, very heavily into some jazz stuff.
Yeah, they were.
So yeah, and then we developed a relationship later, and then we were doing a whole bunch of dates with the Elevators, and we needed kind of an opening act for us. So we just thought, okay, do we get another band? No, let's get, so Steve was doing some solo stuff. So anyway, but yeah, you're very, very, very blessed. So, you know what, talk about your band Makira. But basically what does the word Makira mean?
That's a good question. And actually, if I had to do it all over again, I'm not sure I would pick that name, because we've been called the Macarena. People don't show up because they think we're a Mexican band. I mean, I hear the funniest stories behind the name.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
It is. Those are true stories. In fact, we played a gig the other day, and a lady came up and she caught the last song. And she goes, "Oh, I'm so bummed. You guys are so great. I thought you were a Mexican band, so I was waiting for the next act." So, Makaira. Makaira is a Greek word that comes from the Bible that says God's word is sharper than a dual-edged sword. So it means dual-edged sword. You know how hard it is to pick names for bands, and back in the day, it was we picked it. And Makaira started 30 years ago up in Grass Valley, and it was just a group of. I'd just moved into town, so I'd met a few musicians and had the desire to play, and there was no. It was interesting. It's been such an evolution. It just started out as a band of Christian players that got together like any other band and started playing, and I look back after 30 years, and there's been over 30 people that say they've been a member of this band. A lot of them went on to be music pastors and different things. And I realized we've done over 300 outreaches. We've toured Russia. We've made 6 CDs, and I could go on and on. And the testimony is we've never charged a penny. We do Praise in the Mountains every year. We have 3 trailers full of sound gear. I mean, it's just been an outreach blessing, and that we've always stayed true to just being a kind of a play anywhere, up in the mountains or street corners or fairs, outside band, and we were loud, and it just evolves. And every evolution, I'm always excited about. I used to kind of worry about people come and go, but God keeps bringing other people. And here's something you can relate to. I'm in my dream band now because I have 3 colored girls that are just phenomenal.
Yes.
And really bring the black gospel thing to the table and do it very, very well. It's the real deal. I have a real B3 player that understands how to use B3s as a percussionist, and I have a horn section now. I have a sax player, a trombone player, and a trumpet player. And my sax player is a story amongst itself. He's magical. The guy, he's very introverted, and he's a pretty quiet guy. And he grew up in Chicago playing in jazz bands and all black groups. And he told me the other day, he says, "Yeah, I don't know if this is a standing joke for musicians or not, but he says, yeah, when I was young, I wanted to be this hot jazz player on the saxophone. So I sat in my room, in a dark room for 8 hours a day and practice." He says, "Now I'm that guy, and I still just sit in my room, black room, for 8 hours and practice." It's like, but he's just precious. He's 70 years old, and he's real introverted. And he walked into the first time we met him. He walked into the practice room, and he's going, "Well, I don't know." And I'm thinking, "Oh, this poor guy." And I didn't want to be embarrassing, And I'm thinking, how are we going to deal with this? And politely tell him, And we started playing. He's going, "Oh, it's loud, it's whatever." And he picks up this horn, and we all just, our jaws dropped. The guy was just the guy. And he is so excited to be in this band. He said this is what he's been waiting for all his life. And he's 70 years old. And I'm almost there myself, but this is his first real rock and roll jazz band thing that he's part of. And it's just really exciting to have him in the group because he's a jaw dropper. And then, so we're driving, my keyboard player and I are driving home from rehearsal a year ago, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to have a whole horn section? And I thought, man, that'd be fun, because we just went and saw Lydia Pence and Cold Blood, and was listening to their horns and stuff, and that'd be really fun. And so we prayed for a horn section. And the next day, my wife and I are out going to get the car washed, and we drove by to go to the car wash, and the kids are out there with their signs, "Car wash here." So we pull in, and let's support the kids. And come to find out, it's the high school jazz band. So it was cool. So they're washing the car, and I could tell the older gentleman that was probably the band teacher walked up to me and said, "Hey, thanks for supporting the kids." And I said, "Yeah, we got to support the kids. We need more horn players." And he looked at me and says, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just joking." I said, "I play in a Christian rock band, and we're always looking for horn players." And he looked at me and says, "Well, I'm a Christian, and I'm a horn player." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I said, he calls me up the next day. So I said, well, let's get together for dinner and we'll see where this goes. And so he brings his wife. So I'm sitting there talking to him and his wife, and I go, well, how'd you meet? She says, well, I'm a trombone player. We met touring in a band. And
There you
so
go.
the rest is history. I got a trombone player and a trumpet player at the price of one, and a sax player, and it's really exciting for me, Leonard. I've never played in a band with a horn section before, but the dynamics is
Yeah.
they have to chart everything and work off of that whole spectrum, and to listen to them interact and to put parts together and then follow sheets. It's a new experience for me, but man, it just blows me away that the talent people that do that have to be able to write music like that and then read it.
You know what? I was just having this conversation yesterday with our sax player, Matt Brasfeld, and I told him, I said, Matt, I don't read, okay? And we're working on a very, very difficult song right now that, if you can read, it takes away half the battle. But I said, I don't read, okay? I started playing, I learned how to play bass part by ear.
Me
I said
too.
later on, I said I picked up reading because I also played trumpet in the band in the junior high and high school band. And I said, but I said I never, I said I was only in the band because I wanted to play bass in the jazz band. So you had to have you had to have a trade-off there. So, but I said the dynamic to be able to sit and read, and we had a keyboard player last year that God bless him. I mean, he was a very, very proficient musician, as well as, I mean, he could read, and he got really, 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 really frustrated with us. In fact, so much so he quit because he couldn't handle the fact that we couldn't read. Okay, and yeah, so it's like, but I think there was a little ego there too, but but it was, I just told him, I told Matt, anyway, back to the conversation with Matt, I said, you're very fortunate. He says, yeah, but Leonard, he says, you gotta understand, when I'm playing, he says, I might be playing, here, he says, but you guys are also, he says, I've got a track with you guys.
Yeah.
He says, and that's where the art comes in. He says, there's where the fun, and I think that's where you're probably experiencing playing with a horn player that's actually looking at a chart, but yet you're sitting there kind of going, okay, you probably have a little bit more control than you think you do.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, I mean, I've been, I've been with a horn player for 12 years now. Okay, Matt's our second horn player. But I remember when we first started playing with Marcus Rivers was our original.
Yeah, I know Marcus well.
Yeah, sax player. And, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is a bass player's dream.
Yeah.
We would love to have a horn section. In fact, Matt was saying, I'd like to bring on maybe a trumpet player to kind of round out the horn section. And I said, hey, do what you got to do, man. We'll do what you want, because I mean, to me, Chicago is, sorry, it's the Beatles and then Chicago for me. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, the Beatles and Chicago. So I said, when you're talking horn section, I said, nothing would make me more happier. But then there's the dynamic of going, okay, it's tough enough. And as you know, you've got to, how many band members in your band?
We're 9 people.
Yeah,
and as you know, it's a blessing and a curse because you got 9 personalities and 9 logistics and 9 everything. But when you're all together and on the right note, it's 9 great musicians. So it's hard.
No, and that that's the awesomeness about having, a band of that size. But then the reality of it is there are a lot of venues that really
Yeah.
shy away from large bands. I mean,
Yeah, we're big and loud, and that really limits where we can go.
yeah, and it's so you're predicated by, by your venue size, especially, I mean, we normally do, I think it's about 35 to 40 gigs a year, and most of those are small venues. And you know so when you say you have a 9-piece band, or even a six,
Yeah.
at one time we had six members. We had a flute player, but Tim has stepped down to just kind of get some rest, and he just, a lot of things going on in his life. But even having 6 players, was I mean, we would get requests going, it's like, is there any way you can pare your band down? It's like,
Yeah.
no,
No, it's the
no,
band.
we're not that kind of band where we just go, okay, well, let's see, we'll just have the keyboard and the guitar player. Let's, no, we're analog jazz. We're a whole. We just, so, but yeah, it's just but yeah, no, the delight of playing with a horn section. Yeah, yeah. You know what we have to do, okay? And we've got to do something together.
Yeah, let's do that.
Kyra and Analog Jazz, we've got to do something together.
It'll be fun.
I think that would be awesome.
We'll do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing about, and I've always known this, but now it's real prevalent, is, and my sax player and my trumpet player, I think that it's not a problem. They've played in improvising, but you add that third instrument, the trombone, and in there, and it's the guy's wife, and she's pretty much to the music. And so for me, like, we play a 12-bar blues, and if Randall wants to take another couple turns, or he wants the saxophone to blow a second solo, it's just natural. It's going to come around. You start over. For the horn player, for her anyway, it's like, wait, I follow this. Even that part of it. It's an interesting dilemma as we're starting to learn how to play together, to realize that you have, for them to be right on, that you have to play it exactly like the music is written. You don't, and they'll get there. I mean, I know that there's a couple of players, they get it, but for her, it's like, no, I've got lost because you did it a whole nother time. And I get it. I understand the two worlds. And, as you well know, the guys that do both are the ones that are pretty happy with themselves. And we all met players that grew up playing like, exactly the music, and then they learned how to improvise after the fact, and they, like, the light came on, so.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting journey that different players
Yeah, right.
play with. You were talking about Marcus Rivers. He didn't read music; everything was by ear.
Yeah.
And so
Huh.
sometimes with him, I mean, was like chasing a chicken. I mean, and I mean that in the most respectful, in the best way, because I mean, the guy could just vamp, just go here, here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and you're just kind of going, okay, and you're sitting there kind of going, man, music. If this was music, forget it. It's out the door, man.
That's
But
funny.
it was anyway funny. So hey, well, let's talk about. I'm very, very interested in. You put a festival on every year called Praise in the Mountains.
Yes, sir.
And for the last 25 years,
28 years. Kind of lost a year last year, but
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Did you?
No, after 28 years, I didn't. Obviously, COVID put a stop to it, but
Yeah.
that's been a wonderful learning tool. Putting on a big festival every year, and it kind of got it down pretty good after 28 years. I'm fairly confident it's the longest running free Christian concert festival in the world, probably.
Oh, that's great.
And so, I mean, think about it, 28 years. But we started it 28 years ago, Makyra, when we first formed, just because we wanted a place to play, and there wasn't many places to play, you know. So let's have our own event, and totally naive, you know. We started the first couple of years, sold tickets, and had 10 bands and all this stuff, and they are all been successful. But over the years, I've learned less is better, and I've learned just do it for free, and God's provided, and through the last 28 years, you know, I've seen God do wonderful things and change people's lives, and I can go on and on and on. I've even so much as set up a baptism pool now and baptize people right in front of the stage as people are playing and performing. And the other part is, you know, I never go after any big names or anything, but I've had the greatest bands play over the years, you know, from all, and I really strive for all genres, you know, from country to, you know, different styles, you know, and there's just a remarkable bunch of talent in Northern California that, and I've even had people from Africa and all kinds of other things over the years that presented themselves. But, you know, doing 28, it's a one-day major event. It's free. I don't get huge crowds. I get 2,000-3,000 people at the most. And, you know, it doesn't, I try not to make it like a big carnival fair thing, you know, and I really focus on getting people at risk there. In other words, we'll bring up busloads of homeless people, or Teen Challenge comes and actually helps me facilitate it and work. And we try to get busloads of them and different people like that, and just give them a day of enjoyment, fun, and you know, set up jump houses for kids, and it's just always been a wonderful thing, you know. And after 28 years, you know, yeah, we got rained out twice actually, but once we moved in inside the second year, and then one year it was 107, and you know, you got the elements, and that was a rough one. And I've had to go buy those giant air conditioner things to blow on the band so nobody would pass out, and all those little things you learn about doing outside events. But it's evolved to where, you know, we pretty much use our own equipment and put it on ourselves, and it's Makyra's big event of the year. And yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's great. Do you plan on having it here in 2021?
Yeah. The event is always on a Labor Day weekend, so it's the first Saturday of September this year, and it's right below. It's in Grass Valley area in a little town called Penn Valley. And there's a wonderful music venue stage here. It's massive, giant stage.
I don't know, Dennis, because I've never been invited.
I knew that was coming. In fact, as I was talking, I'm going, well, you'd want to play together. I'm probably going to have to change the lineup here and reach out to my old brother, Leonard.
Well, you know what? I'm sure we would love to be a part of that and help out in any way. It's interesting, the dynamic of what COVID did. You know, it literally shut down. I mean, I think we played more than most bands played in Sacramento last year, which was just a huge rarity. In fact, the last two gigs that we had to cancel because I had gotten COVID.
Oh, man.
Okay, and I was in the hospital for 5 days, but I'm fine. At least I think I am. But and then so yeah, it kind of shut down. And then our sax player got pneumonia, and then our keyboard player got COVID. So yeah, so it just really kind of just like went, you know, just blew everything up. But this year's looking really, really, really good. You know, there's still a lot of skepticism and also optimism about you know, whether venues will be open, and you know, so anyway, I'm just very, very glad to hear that you're moving forward on the festival, especially being outdoors. I'm sure people will, you know.
Let's hope so. We're moving. In fact, we only played once last year because of COVID, but so I've been focusing on as I shared with you earlier, we started our own little TV show thing.
Yes, I wanted to talk
called,
about that. Yeah,
called
tell us about your
yeah.
YouTube TV show.
Okay. I really like watching live at Daryl's house. As a musician, it's always fun. And I thought, well, I ought to do that with my band. And so we're novice at it. In fact, I'd like to reach out to you for some help because you are experienced in filmmaking and things. But so we just decided to do it ourselves with what we had. And so we filmed the first one with just one of my singers, and we call it again Live at Makira's House. It's just basically sharing an interview and then performing. The guest artist will perform one of our songs, and then we perform one of their songs. So again, a knockoff of Live at Daryl's House. And then at the end of it, we started a little tradition called we're going to eat something, and so we eat a piece of pie. So we call it, instead of Makira, we call it McPyra, and have pie. So it's all part of the fun. And we've made 3 episodes, and we're learning. Again, the first one, if you go to makiravideo.com, it's MACHAIRA video.com. You can see them as well as a bunch of music videos we've made. And it's a work in progress. The first one, we learned a lot. We've learned a lot about interviewing and things like that we've got to perfect. Then we did one with a gentleman named Mark Cooper, who's a world-renowned guitar player, and he kind of took it to a new level. And boy, was that fun, because that guy is just an amazing guitar player. And he's a dear friend of Makira's. He lives up in Reading, and he even has a signature guitar made after him. He hangs out with Stevie Vai and all of that genre, but a great brother in the Lord and a wonderful musician. And he had a ball. He loved having the girls sing his tune, and so we learned his song, and which was a task. And then he did one of ours, which was, I'm sure, easy for him. And then we brought in Lisa Daggs, who's got Gospel Entertainer of the Year, and well renowned. She lives back in Nashville now, and we had a lot of fun with Lisa. And she's in fact, she just called me yesterday and wanted to come back and play Praise the Mountains from Nashville. So anyway, we've done 3, and we're setting our studio up now to be a total green room and audio stuff. So we kind of plug and play and keep the volume in the other room and kind of do things. And so I would welcome you to come by and give us some pointers and help us out on that process.
Absolutely, I'd love to just come by.
Have no illusions of grandeur or whatever. I think my next artist might be Leon Patilla's interested, from Santana. We've played with him before, and he likes us. And he said, yeah, he would love to be one of the guys. And who else? I mean, it's open. Again, we're just learning.
Well, there's this band called Analog Jazz that would probably.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm to bring a whole band in, and we're already 9 strong. That might be a little tough.
Hey, why not? Let's do it. That'd be a lot of fun. Let's push the envelope here.
That might be. Let's talk about that. That would be a challenge, but that's all about fun. My goal is to, because it's just another medium to share what we do. So if I could perfect it better, and find somebody to show it or put it on the internet, or it's just fun. I just enjoy it. It's a blessing.
Well, I thought you did a really good job when you first reached out to me and said, hey, listen, I'm doing a show. So anyway, I watched them, and I just thought, wow, I just wish more people would experiment. I'm not saying this is an experiment, but just would, let's do it. And that's what I love about you, Dennis, is that, what, dude, it's like there's no real boundaries with you. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Yeah.
It was an idea, you can.
And that, that's the kind of people I love hanging around with. I don't, it's like, I don't know. Let's sit down and let's calculate it, and let's put a board together, and let's see if we can, let's see if this makes sense. No, let's just do it.
Yeah, you just did it. And
that's why you have a festival that's been, going for 25 years now.
Yeah.
And a band that's going for 31 years.
30
years. Yeah. So to me, it's like, yeah, just do it. That's the kind of people I want to hang around with. So So, well, let me ask you this on a personal question, on a personal note here. If you had advice to someone starting out right now, uh, whatever genre of music, whether it be Christian, pop,
Yeah.
hip hop, you know, jazz, whatever, what advice would you give them?
Well, the hardest, the most challenging thing in a band is not so much the music as personalities and people. And as you well know, so many bands break up because of the human factors.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily the music, but it's human factors, and uh, and so it has to be a passion of just accept people for who they are and let it work out. And you know, and I kind of pride myself on those skills because I've spent a lifetime managing people and things and stuff, and so I practice those same human skills in my band, and I'm kind of the facilitator, and my existing band even it's 9 people that if we weren't in a band together, I wouldn't be hanging out with them. I mean, it is so diverse. I mean, we are talking extreme diversity, and yet when we come together and play, it's magical.
Yeah.
And so that's the joy of playing music with other musicians is that part of it. And so my advice to anybody in band situation is just learn how to be a great communicator and a lover of people for where they are and who they are, and don't and accept them for that, and have those skills to work that person through whatever challenge you have. Don't go home, take it personal. Just love that person for who they are. It'll either work out or it won't. But it's so sad to see so many bands break up because of human factors.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's yeah. No,
You've experienced it many times.
I've experienced it many
So have I.
times. And you know what? And sometimes you just kind of go, well, I wonder what the problem is. It's like,
Yeah.
sometimes people go, well, maybe you were the problem, Leonard. And I'm going, well, yeah, maybe so.
No,
Maybe so.
I have to look inward all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I just, having expectations that don't quite match, where other people are. Anyway, that's a good word. That's a good word. So, well, listen, this will be a fun one. Okay. Question that I ask all my guests, and I just I'm fascinated by the answers that I get. So anyway, here's the question: if you were on a deserted island, okay, and you were only able to take 3 albums with you, okay, what would those 3 albums be?
Okay, the band, the second album, the band.
The band, okay.
Yeah. Oh man, because I like so much stuff. Uh, um, Shoot, man. The band. What's another go-to album for me? I would probably take. You know what? This is out of the blue, but I would take that first Animals album. I don't know why, because I heard it the other day. Someone else talks off, and I said, "Man, I love every song on it." So I would take that first Animals album, and then I would probably take um, uh, Eva Eva Tyson. What's Eva? I can't even think of her name. Eva Tyson? No, man, I can't think of her name. That she passed away from cancer, and I just love. She's a beautiful singer. I just can't think of her name. But yeah, her Eva.
Eva, okay.
Yeah, it's very. Or on actually, I'll take that back. I'll just because I'm good and solid. I'll pick a Bonnie Raitt album and take it. I mean, you can't go wrong. With the album that had Angel from Montgomery on it, I don't remember the name of it, but
Bonnie, oh yeah, oh my
yeah,
God, yeah.
that she just presents other songs in such a great mix thing that I always find I love it.
Well, I was talking. It's so funny you bring up Bonnie Raitt because I was talking with someone the other day, and they were just like, truly believe that Bonnie Raitt's probably one of the most underrated, blues players out there. And the way what she does, and she's been around for,
Yeah.
She probably won't like this, but she's been around forever.
Yeah. No, she's back in the early days. I mean, I actually, because you caught me cold on that one. I'm reneging here. Okay, so it's the band is going to be Little Feat and Bonnie Raitt.
Band Little Feat. What album of Little Feat?
It came on later. It came out later. I don't remember the name of the album, but it's one of it's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I have to say this, Dennis. You have broken the record here. Every guest I've had on so far, in the album that they would take with them to this deserted island, one of the albums would be a Beatles album.
Yeah.
And you've broken. I just mentioned it in the last episode. I said, you know what? I said, we'll see how far this goes, because I said I'm sure there's going to be an artist. I mean, a guest that's going to not mention the Beatle album. So
okay, so it's going to be the Little Feat album was. I'm going to say that live double album.
The live double album.
Yeah. Right. So I got an extra album in on the deal.
There you,
so
there you
got
go. Okay. All right. Yeah. There you go. So yeah. You get a deal. So, well, listen, Dennis, it has been a absolute pleasure, and I'm sure if we had another 3 or 4 hours, we could probably just keep going. But I am so grateful to have you on the show, and want to thank you very much, and keep up the good work. Keep up what you're doing. You're a true champion for music and for people. And I would just say, just keep doing what you're doing. And I know you've got some things in the works, on your other part of your life that is going to have a huge effect, and on our environment and different things. And I'm so excited for you. And if we that'll be another show we'll do.
Okay.
But
I want to get you over to our new practice place, and when we're filming and playing, to start giving us some pointers. And
absolutely. No, I'd love to
figure out some cool stuff.
I'd love to. I've got some ideas for you, but
good.
I think what you're doing is just keep doing it. And we're excited to do something with you. I think that's great. We've got a lot of things planned for this year, some things that we were supposed to do last year, but thankfully they're some new venues that we've been wanting to get into are opening up for us, and so we're very, very excited about that. And we've determined that we're going to be doing our very, very first live album this year. So Analog Jazz Live, we'll be doing that. So we're working that out, and then we're developing the studio here, our home studio. We're developing that, which is we're very excited. We did some test recording Monday night, a few nights ago, and we're just really excited.
That's great.
Especially at my age, most people are slowing down, and I'm just kind of going, man, I don't think I've even started. So, but
I'm with you.
Yeah. So anyway, Dennis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And blessings on you, and we'll see you down the road.
Yes, we will. And thanks for having me. It was fun.
Okay. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And we're out. Don't shut off.
Okay.
Okay. Because all this is edited. So anyway, great. Well, what'd you think?
It was fun. I mean, you never know where you're going to go, and I was able to.
Well, I was a little was a little apprehensive about the last question about the albums, because normally people like to go, give me some time on that. And since you didn't have the questions, I kind of thought, okay, this will be fun.
Oh, that was fun. It just caught me cold. I usually
Yeah,
do it
no,
out.
it's
My
great.
brain just went, too much fun. But we worked it out. And I got an extra album on the deal because I got a double.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, but yeah, no, I would love to. I'd love to come down and check the place out, and
Yeah, we're in Rockland there right off on Pacific, so.
No, just let me know what.
Yeah, I will. Because we're in the process of making an album there, as well as setting up total green room cameras all over, to where we get 4 or 5 angles on each person.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Yeah, we have we videotape. We have 4. We have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we have 4 cameras, and yeah, I've got them set up, but it's they're just ISO shots.
No, I know.
They're not moving or anything, but because the places are it's in my garage.
Yeah, no, I get it. Space is
our garage.
We're always fighting space, especially with a 9-person band, and it's a long, narrow room. We had to really get outside the box to make.
Yeah.
We had a place that was perfect, but we lost it, so we're in a new place. But we'll make it work. And then when my ship comes in, you're going to help me, because I'll even hire you, and we'll build a big giant place and do it right.
Man, that would be. I meet with some guys on Friday morning. We go deep. We go deep into this spiritual things.
Yeah.
It's not just surface. And I just told him. I said, guys, I've always been a dreamer. Scripture says that old men will dream dreams, young men will see visions. I said, well, and I qualify for the old men. So I said, I still have a lot of dreams, and I think there's a lot to be done. We've had a lot of opportunities here in the Sacramento area, for people to do things, but I said, what I would like to have a facility. One thing, say what you will about Alan Clausen, okay?
Yeah.
But what he tried to do and wanted to do, is something I would love to do on a bigger scale.
Well, that's my vision too, Leonard.
Yeah, have a place where we can bring in talent. Okay, on whatever level. I'm talking about everything from beginner all the way to to the marquee.
Yeah.
Where we had the facility to be able to videotape them. We could we had the audio system.
Yeah.
We could record them. We can nurture their talent.
Yeah. No, I have the same vision, and I want to do it right. And my vision is in one of these downtowns, like downtown Roseville or downtown, where you could go walk the street, go down and get coffee and come back, or have a coffee shop there in the same thing. Yep. with both the TV room and then the recording, and then a community place up front. And
yep.
Bible studies could use it to do their things. You could always have music in there, but have all the equipment and stuff to walk in and either make an album or make a TV show.
Yep. No, dude, I'm right there. We're tracking. I just feel like, I just watched a documentary on Austin City Limits, and it's literally the longest running music show in the history of television. But I just kind of thought, a facility, I was down at KVIE last year. A good friend of mine is one of the producers. Actually, he tried to hire me, tried to get me to go to work for PBS. And I said, it sounds fun. I said, and I produced enough shows to know what goes into producing a show. That's not a problem. And then here was the stickler. He says, yeah, you got to raise your own money.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
said, well, that's what I'm doing right now. What do you mean? I
Yeah,
said,
really.
you know, and but you know, I look at that facility, KVIE. I mean, it's for the most part, it just sits there dormant.
I know.
You know,
Yep.
it just sits there dormant, and I just sitting there and going, you know, why don't we do something with this, Toby? And his name's Toby. I said, Toby, why don't we do something with this? And he goes, well, he says, give us an idea. And I said, I got a ton of ideas, but I said, what's the process? He goes, well, it's got to go through our board,
Right.
and then the board's got to approve it, and blah 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 blah. I'm sitting there going, okay, you just basically blew it.
Yeah.
Okay, because you know, I just sit there and go, we need a facility that young artists can come in. Okay, we can nurture them with seasoned artists like ourselves that have been doing this for a while. Okay, that we also have something to do. Okay, I mean, thank God I have this band.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, and I've been approached by a number of people asking Leonard, would you be willing to manage me? And I'm going, dude, I can barely manage.
Manage yourself.
Yeah, it's like, no, you know, I said, I'm flattered that you think that I, you know, it's like, you know, but I said, I just, you know, I'm a very myopic person. I said, you know, but I said, you know, the older I get, honestly, you know, the less value I feel that the world has towards us, you know,
Yeah.
because of our age.
Sure.
And I just sit there and go, you know, that's not that's not the way it's supposed to be. You know, my experience, your experience, um, you know, definitely has a value to it that I think younger musicians or younger artists could glean from. Okay, because I mean, I went through mistakes that hopefully they don't have to go through,
Yeah.
and I went through some successes that, you know, well, here's how you did this, here's what we did, you know, and it's like, you know, why try to reinvent the wheel? It's like, you know, and if we had a facility to where we could basically, uh, you know, I honestly, even last year, I looked into, you know, there's a franchise called School of Rock,
Yeah.
and I thought, wow, what if we did something like a School of Rock where we brought in musicians to teach younger people, okay, but not necessarily, you know, in the philosophy, because they have a whole philosophy, and I'm just like going, okay, you know, I don't care about your franchise. What I'm interested in is your structure, okay, on what you do, you know, and because I mean, I think you're right. You know, you when you approach that band teacher and said, you know, hey, we got to keep supporting. You know, we need more horn players. I mean, music. I mean, thank God. I mean, I was telling my wife the other day. I said, you know, I don't know. I said I'd probably be a Ted Kaczynski or something. I said if I didn't have music.
Yeah.
I said, you know, especially with the way I was up, you know, I was brought up. I said, because we were just watching a documentary on him and how, you know, I mean, I was brought up in the, and I don't know if I ever told you my past, but I was brought up in a very, very incredibly abusive family. My mother was very abusive to me. In fact, she brags on the fact that while she was pregnant with me, she tried to self-abort me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah, so that was her bragging point to the fact that I survived and I was able to do what I, you know, was able to accomplish in life. You know, it's like, well, yeah, even despite me trying to kill him, he's still, you know, that, yeah, mom, right on. Yeah, I want to share that with the
Yeah.
world. But without music, man, I don't know. Dennis, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. I would have, you know, and music helped me branch off into several different things. I mean, you know, my films,
Yeah.
having the opportunity to work on 18 major motion pictures. Not only that, produced 10 independent films. On top of that, 6 television shows. In fact, my last show After 23 weeks, it had reached 55.4 million viewers.
Wow.
You know, I just, I'm just very, very grateful that, I have this, I've had this opportunity to do this. But anyway, I just, yeah. So yeah, let's just keep conversation. But no, and you say, do you have recording ability there at your current place?
Yeah.
I would love to take a look at what you got, because I mean, what we're developing here is, out of necessity, because I mean, we did our first album in a studio, and well, actually, both albums we did in the studio, but you're really confined with time, the limitations of the studio, and also the cost.
We got nothing fancy, but today's technology just keeps making it better. So
Yeah,
take a
no,
look at
that's
it.
why.
I mean, I usually go and use Rich Ayers, who had River City. He's a dear friend of mine. I love his work as a producer, and but his life's busy and he does it only on weekends and blah blah. So we're doing it ourselves. But my sound guy, Rod Brace, who's doing it, was also building a studio for some Christian people in West Sacramento and South Sacramento. And they're getting ready he just ordered about $80,000 worth of gear building the studio. So they kind of give him it's some of the black churches in Sacramento that went together and hired my sound guy to build a studio and run it. And so I'll be interested to see what comes out of that.
No, that's great. I mean, the studios. I mean, I don't know of many studios here in town anymore. We were.
I helped when Rich Ayers. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Had River City. Him and Brett Bourgeois was a lot down there, and he's the guy. Rich, calls up the Doobie Brothers and have them come in and play on my album. I mean, that's his circles. But I helped him build a studio in his house in Forest Hill, and it's real nice. He's got a Hammond B3 in there. He's got everything going for it. But he's in Forest Hill and has to work. He can't make money anymore with the studio, so he has a day job, and then you can catch him on weekends. And it's just logistically too hard, so we're just doing it ourselves.
No,
hey, I got to run, Leonard. I got to get in another meeting, but it's been a pleasure.
Well, listen, let's stay in contact, and definitely, just let me know when you're available. I'd love to come and check your facility.
Yeah, I want to invite you over and I want you to hear the team, so it'd be fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. So,
all right.
Okay, blessings, brother.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.